King Charles has been implicated in a massive decades-old paedophile ring at an elite British boarding school, according to revelations by a former student and whistleblower who's blown the lid off the horrific scale of the elite's chosen vice. According to an award-winning journalist who attended the school as a boy, children at the elite school are routinely beaten, harassed, raped and driven to suicide. Inevitably with paedophilia, all roads lead to Rome. In this case, Rome's latest incarnation, the British royal family, who, in the words of the journalists, regularly visits Aldenham School to feed on children. Before we dive in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our incredible community, support the channel, and gain access to uncensored content. Chris Stevens is an award-winning journalist who has also excelled in the fields of architecture and design. The man has had a successful life and career, and now he is risking it all to blow the whistle on the corrupt and depraved British royal family. Aldenham School is run by the self-declared worshipful company of Brewers, an ancient and shady group who take young children to initiation ceremonies at Brewers Hall, where, according to Stevens, they are abused and tortured. Brewers Hall in Hertfordshire just so happens to be a stomping ground for King Charles, with reports detailing visits by Charles and his friends Jimmy Savile and Lord Mountbatten. But more on those two later. Charles has been photographed at Brewers Hall in recent times in connection with the boarding school. According to Stevens, who now goes by the name of Phoenix Caspian, the British royal family led by Charles are unable to resist raping anything that smells like a child. Already, one Aldenham teacher has been jailed for his rape of a student, and two others have incriminated themselves by openly gloating about abusing hundreds of children in a career retrospective written in Aldenham School's official magazine. What is going on here, and why has this been allowed to continue for centuries? As Stevens explains, the school is part of the elite's grand traumatic repetition structure, and unfortunately there are similar schools and institutions all over the world. Children are tortured by the school and are then provoked by systematic corruption to reenact that torture on younger students. As Stevens says, is a vivid example of blind traumatic repetition, but it gets even worse. After this quick break, we'll explain why paedophilia is the elite's chosen vice, and what we must do to protect our children from this 9,000-year-old paedophile cult. But first, an important word from our sponsor. Are you interested in reaching a large and growing audience? The People's Voice offers a unique opportunity to promote your brand to an audience of millions of engaged viewers. If you would like to sponsor or advertise on our show, please email sponsor@thepeoplesvoice.tv. As the people of the world rise up against the evils of the global elite, they are becoming increasingly desperate to ensure they stay in control and achieve their goals. According to Charles, we need a vast military-style campaign to usher in the agenda of the WEF.
Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector, with trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders.
This should not come as a surprise because Charles has been working to usher in the agenda of the globalists his entire life. He is descended from a long line of European tyrants after all. According to NPR, Prince Charles said during a 2011 interview, "Transylvania is in my blood. The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler." In case you need a quick history refresh, during the 1400s, Vlad III, commonly known as Vlad the Impaler or Vlad Dracula, was the Prince of Wallachia, modern-day Romania. According to NBC, his father adopted the last name of Dracul, meaning dragon, which meant Vlad's last name became Dracula, son of the dragon. By all accounts, he was an extremely violent ruler.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler, you see. So I do have a bit of a stake in the country.
Britain and the Commonwealth now have a sovereign who's descended from the tyrant who dipped his bread in the blood of his impaled victims. So perhaps it's not surprising that Charles is close friends with the depraved Klaus Schwab, who is cut from the same degenerate cloth as the French Charles is used to keeping. Prince Charles was best friends with Britain's most notorious paedophile Jimmy Savile, regularly hosting him at royal estates and using him as a sounding board for advice. Charles even asked Savile, who raped hundreds of children over the course of decades in the public eye, to write an etiquette guide to be followed by the Queen. King Charles's great-uncle and mentor, Lord Mountbatten, was also accused of raping an 11-year-old boy at a Tourist children's home in the 1970s, adding weight to allegations that the British royal family practiced child sacrifice and ritualistic paedophilia as one of their ancient rites and customs. What are the chances of Charles and Andrew both being best friends with the most notorious international paedophiles of their generation. And what are the chances of King Charles's mentor also being accused of raping young boys? How many times can these revelations be swatted aside and declared a coincidence? Now that Savile and Mountbatten are dead and Charles's disgraced brother Andrew can't keep company with Jeffrey Epstein anymore, Charles is spending his time working on ushering in the globalist vision of the New World Order, with all of the anti-human evil that it entails. But it gets worse. Those at the top of the pyramid can't leave anything up to chance. So instead of relying on just money to corrupt and control politicians, leaders, musicians, pundits, and anybody with a big audience, they turn to horrific methods of control, like the torture described by the whistleblower at Aldenham School. Make no mistake, this is a worldwide globalist criminal enterprise designed to ensnare the young and vulnerable and destroy their souls before they join the elite ranks of the corrupt and debased. Every world leader and most entertainers and news broadcasters are compromised in this way, meaning they are all doing the bidding of their masters at the top of the pyramid. This bidding equates to corrupting all minds, sexualizing children, transhumanism, and extreme depopulation. For those who survive the planned cull, they will be rewarded with global tyranny and slavery for the underclass. We know exactly what they have planned for us because they can't stop gloating about it.
The big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
We need your help dismantling a 9,000-year-old Satan-worshipping paedophile cult. This evil can't be allowed to continue hiding in plain sight. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue exposing the elite, but we can't do it ourselves. Subscribe to the channel and join the People's Voice Locals community to support the channel, join our amazing team, and gain access to exclusive content. I hope to see you there.